What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, coming to you with another weekly Shonen Jump newsletter. This is it for this year, for the 2021 cycle of Weekly Shonen Jump. This is issue 52, which is the final issue of this year in Weekly Shonen Jump. If you've been around the channel for a while at this point, almost a year, you'll know that one thing I like to do on this channel, I did last year, was the year in review. So definitely be on the lookout for that video, because I'm gonna put that out hopefully here in the near future as the 2021 cycle is over. But that's not what we're here to talk about, guys. We are here this week to talk about issue 52, and we got several things going on in this issue. So let's get into it. So first of all, the cover of this issue went to Doron Dororon. I believe that those are two words, and I don't know what either of them mean. If there is like a Japanese meaning to that word, leave it down in the comment section. I just don't know it. This is our brand new manga, the third brand new manga in a row here that we've gotten. This is the final one, and obviously the final manga to be released in this year's cycle of Weekly Shonen Jump. So yeah, first of all, the cover itself was good. I liked it. I like the kind of spooky feel that the cover gives off. It's kind of a fun vibe that gave off, and the art style kind of in general gives that off. I love the color spread. I thought was really good, where it shows Dora, the main character, as well as the that samurai girl, and even Kusanagi in kind of like a vapor form. It's got this cool feel and cool aesthetic to it that I think is really interesting. So I like that about it. And getting into the chapter, I do like the very first page, the cheese there, where he's like at his mom's grave, and he brought the picture of her favorite idol, like pop idol, and then like her favorite like clam thing too. I thought it was kind of funny, heartwarming, helps introduce us to who Dora is, who he's going to be throughout probably what is the rest of the series. But it was definitely good to see that. I will say, one thing that I really liked about this manga this week was the visuals. I think that this manga has some really good visuals, particularly when we're fighting, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But I liked seeing the kind of unique art style that this manga has. I really liked it. I loved the aesthetic. Then we get into some of the negative opinions I have about this manga. I'm not super optimistic about this manga. I don't know how long it's going to last in the magazine, and there are several reasons why, and one of them is it doesn't feel unique to me. It doesn't feel like it has its own niche or its own thing. It is more heavily reliant on Japanese mythology to influence its power system, not quite to the level that like something like Ayashimon is, where it's all about yokai, but it's more reliant on that, and obviously with references like Kusanagi being one of the main characters, the Izanagi Brigade, all of that stuff. Obviously it's drawing on this traditional mythos of Japan, but we see that we're working with the trope of a character who has no supernatural ability. And one of the reasons why this was kind of unimpressive to me and I didn't love it was the fact that we've seen this before. We've seen a character who has no aptitude and who's just strong. That's who Asta from Black Clover is. He has no magical ability, no aptitude, just physical strength from working himself up. And that seems what Dora is too. Now, I'm not saying they're the same character. Obviously, there are significant differences. But it's this trope has been played out, has been used, quite heavily in the past several years in the magazine. So I do kind of worry about that a little bit. But I will say I love Kusanagi. And this goes into the thing where I actually like Dora as a character and Kusanagi as a character. I think that they're interesting. I love that Kusanagi is a Mononoke. He's a monster in this world, but he wants to bring kindness. He wants to make the world a kind place, he says. So I really like that about him, and I liked him as a character, both in design and in personality, at least what we've seen of him so far. And the Mononoke that are enemies are really terrifying. I mean, that giant monkey, one as he was about to eat the kids, that was a terrifying picture. I mean, this is a scary environment for sure. And actually, that picture almost reminded me of, if you guys read Berserk, the trolls from Berserk. It almost reminded me a little bit of them. And they definitely scare me. But it's so the sense of fear is there. It's a real sense of danger that we find there. I love Dora's willingness to fight, even though he doesn't have any aptitude. We obviously see. What I love about this is he was told you won't be a samurai because you can't be. You don't have the magical ability to be a samurai, and he's like, yes, I'll take the test again. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work, right? He's like, I've never lost a fight. I'm so strong. What I like about this is that he gets his butt handed to him. Like, this Mononoke monster destroys him. He has no hope of winning. And so I like that it's not just his physical strength that wins the day here. And I like how they team up. I think that these two are going to be a fun pair, Dora and Kusanagi. I think that I'll like them going forward. And obviously, amazing visuals in these fight scenes. I mean, that where he cuts that Mononoke, up is incredible. I mean, it's a great picture. So I love to see it. You'll love to see it. So I really liked that. And I also liked the origins of him. I liked all the scenes that we got with Dora and his mom, and especially like where she's like, you're gonna be like this strong samurai, and you're gonna prove to them that you're such a strong and kind boy. I really like that, because I think that one of the things that this manga, and one of maybe the only things I think that this manga has going for it, is this characterization of their main character, of Dora, and this emphasis on kindness. I think that's the only thing in this manga that I see that is different or stands out. And so I think that's the only real thing I can latch on to and say, if we pursue this, we might find some varied success with this story. And I hope that they do. I hope that it goes forward like that. But looking at the future of the series, I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical about this series. I think I'm just going to go with Doron from now on, but I'm very skeptical about this series going forward. I'm not sure that it's going to last very long. I'm not sure that it has enough unique details to last very long. But the visuals are very cool, and I think that this focus on kindness could be a step in the right direction, a step in a unique direction for this manga. So I have mixed feelings on it, but overall, I'm not that hopeful for this manga going forward. But that'll bring us to the color pages. This week, guys, we had 3 color pages. Color page number 1 went to Protect Me, Shugomaru. Of course it did. Chapter 2s usually get a color page in the manga. The color page itself is actually part of the manga. You don't always see that a lot, especially I haven't seen it very recently, where they include the color page as the first, panel of the manga. But obviously in this case we did, as a falling chestnut gets demolished by Shugomaru's hammer. It was a good color page. I like seeing them in color and all that stuff. I think the gym uniforms are funny. But this chapter started out with a lot of rehashing what happened in the first chapter, which for a chapter 2, I don't love. It had the feeling to me as if it was padding for time. Like, this chapter was like trying to fill pages that it couldn't necessarily fill with its own gags. Now I did think it was funny that the guy who got frozen last week got frozen again this week. That's kind of funny. The gym teacher, I thought, was very unsettling. There was something about his design that was just not vibing with me. I really didn't like the way he looked. But I did find it cool when Shugomaru goes and splits the school. Like, when he stands up to, not when he splits the school, but when he stands up to the gym teacher, I liked that. I liked the pushback there. And I will say that it's an interesting, on a more philosophical note, we'll say, it's an interesting movement, I think, in culture this idea of pushing back against superiors, against your elders. And actually, I think this week High School Family had a little bit of that too, weaved into it as well. This idea that it's okay or right to push back against those that are in a position above you. I don't know how quite I feel like that about that, but I recognize the pattern. And this is obviously one of those times. This gym teacher's just whacked out. He's nuts. But I love that Shugomaru like holds him to it, and actually gets the weeding done super fast too, with that tool that he has, and splits the school in half, or the old school, some kind of school building he destroys entirely, because of course he does. So yeah, he splits the school freaking in half. And just when everybody was starting to like them again, then they avoid them, of course, for the last bit of that chapter. I like that Tsunami is always trying to get people to like just hang out with her, just be friends with her. And obviously she's trying to find her boyfriend there. And Shugomaru just keeps getting in her way. I will say I was okay with this chapter. I wouldn't even say I liked it though. This is the thing that I was scared of happening with this manga. This gag is going to get old quickly, and I think that unless this manga finds a different way to approach this scenario, we're going to be in this situation for a while, and I don't think it's going to really last. So overall impressions of Protect Me Shugomaru is not so hot right now. But yeah, so we'll move on to color page number 2, which this week went to me and Roboco. The color page itself was pretty relevant to the chapter. It's a bunch of photos of them. I like seeing these characters in color. Me and Roboco doesn't often get a color page, so I liked seeing them. As far as the chapter itself goes, I really don't have that much to say about it this week. I think that it had some good elements. What I did find funny this week is the perfect shots, right? I loved how Gachi Gorilla's perfect shot is like this masculine man, and then Matsuo was just Rei from The Promised Neverland. That's hilarious. I really liked it. I thought it was funny because it does, like, Matsuo does kind of look like a almost chibi version of Rei. So I thought that was funny. I thought that was really funny, and I love the perfect shot of Roboco. They got the author of Ayakashi Triangle to come and draw her, like a cute version of Roboco for that perfect shot. I thought that was funny. I love that Me and Roboco is a manga that kind of gets other Shonen Jump properties into itself. It plays on you being a fan of Weekly Shonen Jump, and obviously, as I am a big fan of Weekly Shonen Jump, I love this magazine. I'm all about it, as you guys can probably tell from me doing these newsletters every single week. This manga gets me because I'm a big fan of it. But what I really liked about this chapter in particular was that final panel of the picture of the three of them smiling, just hanging out, and they finally got a natural picture of Bondo where he looks good. I liked it. It was heartwarming, and I like moments where the three friends can just be friends. And so, yeah, it was an okay chapter. I have no complaints. I didn't think it was super hilarious, but it was funny enough. You know what I mean? So it was all right. Which brings us to color page number 3, the final color page this week, which went to Mission Yozakura Family. I love the color page. I love any time that all of the siblings are in one color page. I'm all about it every single time that happens. But as far as the content of the chapter goes, I also don't really have a lot to say about this one. I thought that the cleaning was kind of funny. I like that each of the siblings hoards a different thing and kind of whatever kind of suits their fancy, and we suss that out throughout the chapter. I love that every time a new one comes up, the little girl dog combination, whatever she is, she like keeps going, oh, I want to keep this one. Like, she keeps collecting things. I thought that was hilarious. I'm very cute. It's very like a cute thing to do. So I thought that was funny. And then when Mitsumi has found out at the end that she has this like Taiyo shrine collection, I love the reaction of Taiyo just being like, wow, you like me that much? Like, this is downright creepy. But what I will say it does help with is establishing their relationship a little better, because I think that there are a lot of times where I'm confused as to what Taiyo and Mitsumi's relationship actually is in this manga, because they say they're like married, they put the rings on, but there's no like sometimes it seems like there's not a like romantic relationship there. And sometimes it seems like there is, but I like moments like this that define that they kind of act like they are married and they do have that relationship. It helps define it for me, and keep things straight in my mind, I think. So that's why I think I liked it so much. And I love that I was the one that found the file that they actually needed on Ninomoe, the second head of the Yozakura family. I love that she's the one that found it, because she's rummaging through everyone's things looking for things that she can keep. So, it was a funny chapter. It was fun. It was one of the, the more lighthearted chapters of Mission Yozakura Family, but it got the cover page, so here we are talking about it. Which brings me to the middle section, and so new chapters. Yep, we got one. Doron Dororon, as we talked about before, got the cover, obviously, so we've already talked about it, but that was new this week. There wasn't anything that ended this week. I didn't expect anything to end. But there was something on break. Jujutsu Kaisen was on break this week. I believe it's supposed to be back next week for issue 1 of the 2022 cycle. So I think that it'll be back there, but it was on break this week. Which brings us to my highlights. And once again, guys, this week I have 3 highlights. And the first one should be pretty obvious if you read this manga. Goes to One Piece. One Piece was incredible this week, guys. I loved it. So first of all, just starting at the cover page, I thought the Tashigi being attacked by the baby penguins and she's playing to be the villain, that was hilarious. I thought that was so cute. It was a really good cover page. I loved seeing it. So yeah, I just loved it. I just loved seeing that cover page. But getting into the meat of the chapter, we almost found out what King is. We know he's a Lunarian, whatever that means. We haven't obviously seen any. He would be the first that we've encountered in the series thus far. And we got to learn a little bit about they absorb the things that are thrown at them, or something like that. Queen says something to that effect to Sanji. But I do really like when Sanji probes further and Queen's like, look it up yourself. I think that that's like a very realistic thing. Obviously they're combatants in a fight with each other right now, so obviously the Queen doesn't want to like answer Sanji's questions, so that makes sense. And I love anytime Zoro is fighting intensely. I don't particularly love Queen's abilities for this fight, but I do love seeing Zoro fight like this. That the movie pulls off on screen right now, I really thought was really well drawn by Oda. I mean, just great artwork, I think. Yeah, but what is definitely the main crux of this chapter is finding out more about Zoro's backstory. That a man named Kozaburo Shimotsuki is the old man that started the village where Zoro was when he was a younger kid with Kuina and her father in the dojo. We knew that village was somehow related to Wano, obviously being called Shimotsuki Village, and having the Shimotsuki clan be part of Wano. We knew that it was in some way related, but we're starting to get more info about that, and that's super, super cool. Because I think that the Wano arc is supposed to be bigger for Zoro than maybe any other Straw Hat, other than, possibly Luffy. But so I love that we're getting more about that. I love that we're learning that this old man that Zoro encountered as a kid, he's finding out and piecing together that this is the swordsmith that created not only Kitetsu III, but Enma as well. I absolutely adore the speech that Kozaburo gives to Zoro in that flashback. That swords are meant to kill. Like kitchen knives are meant to cut, food in the kitchen, swords are meant to kill people. And the better a sword is made, the better it is at doing that, and the scarier the sword becomes. And this whole idea of cursed swords is not really a concrete thing. It's not a tangible asset. There isn't a sword that's cursed, but what a swordsman's job is to bend the sword to their will, to take on the weight of that blade and bend it to them. And I think that that's something that is really incredible. I think it's a great, clarification of swordsmanship in the world of One Piece. And I love what it does for Zoro in this arc as he's piecing all of these things together. Because we also see him collect the 3 swords, right? Wado Ichimonji, Kitetsu III, and Enma that have fallen to the ground in his fight with King. I love when he picks up Enma and he says, Odin wields you around as if you were light as a feather, even though you take all of this hockey. He's trying to figure out how to wield Enma in a good and strong way. And so as he picks up this sword, he notes that Odin could do this so easily, and we see some people getting passed out and Zoro starting to master this. And so I think what we found out is the answer is to use Conqueror's Haki, to somehow inject that into the sword and use it to control Enma, to bend Enma to his will. And I think even King comments on that, and Zoro definitely comments on that, when he says he's going to be the best. But I think that last panel of him talking about his, he's got to fulfill a promise to his best friend, or his captain and his best friend, was super, super cool. Just kind of, further solidifies this relationship between him and Luffy in a way that's more vocal. So I super, super loved that part of the chapter. But either way, he's definitely going to win this fight. I cannot wait for the next chapter to drop because it's going to be so dang good, guys. Zoro is going to fight King. Hopefully we don't move away from this battle. Hopefully we get even more about Zoro's backstory than we already have. But I loved this week. I loved what we got. It was super, super, super cool. So yeah, that's One Piece this week. But we'll move on to highlight number 2, which this week I gave to Ayashimon. Now, I feel a little bad because I've highlighted all 3 chapters of Ayashimon so far. Last week you got the color page. Obviously the week before it was a new chapter, as well as had the cover. And this week it didn't have any of those, but I still chose to highlight it anyway because this is really good. And I think almost in contrast to Doron Dororon that started this week, I prefer Ayashimon by leaps and bounds. But anyway, let's just get into the chapter. First of all, I love the gags. I love the whole thing about don't act like, here are the ground rules for being in this city. Don't act like a bumpkin. And Maru being like, I'm not going to act like that. And then they get in the city and he's absolutely acting like a bumpkin. He's saying it's like Disneyland. That was hilarious. I really thought it was funny that I like the gag. I like the relationship that these two have. And so I really like that gag. But this city is messed up. The thing with I won't explicitly reference it, but the thing with the raccoon dog, the Tanuki, what is clearly a Tanuki, in the red light district, that, I have so many questions and none of them are good. This is like a messed up place where yokai take advantage of humans, of the stupidity of humans all the time. And so this is where I expected Yakuza to be. This is kind of the environment I expected us to be in. And I think this author, coming from having the ability to write more darker toned stories, is able to do this in a way that is both still darker toned, but not quite so dark that Weekly Shonen Jump is going to have a problem. So I like that a lot. And this chapter, what I really liked is seeing Maruo be a good guy and learning more about him. Maruo really is the thing to watch about this manga. He is my favorite part of Ayashimon by far. I love that he's a good guy, that he can't sit around and just let this weak yokai get beat to tar by this stronger guy. I love that he has to step in. I think that's great. I love seeing him like that. And then his quote that I think the strong should, pick on the stronger, or eat the stronger. I love that. It's such it goes with his whole, he wants to be a main character of a manga. It's such a cool thing, and obviously goes with his character as always punching up, looking for someone of relevant fighting ability to him. I also love when he goes to, he's fighting a fire yokai, obviously, and so Urara says, why don't you use it to heat the sprinklers up and get the sprinklers to start. And he drops the door. He doesn't deflect the fire up there like she said. He drops the door, jumps up and punches it, which sets it off. But I love that it's that's not what I was telling you to do at all. I thought that was funny. I thought it was just really funny to see. And then his little attack name, he's trying to get the attack name off, and it's way too long, which is perfect for him. He's a huge fan of manga, and he can't get the attack name off. That was really funny too. I just really love Maru. I really love this main character. I think that he is, like I said, he's going to make this manga something that is a staple, I think, in this magazine. I could not be more excited for Ayashimon going forward, going into this new year of Weekly Shonen Jump. I think Ayashimon's going to prove to be a real hero. And so I had to highlight it this week, guys. I'll try to not highlight it next week, but I had to bring it up. Which brings us to highlight number 3, my final one this week, which I've given to Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. I thought this was exactly what we're looking for in a Mashle chapter. I thought the thing, I like the guy gives Lance the key and then like does the psych thing with the portal, and Lance is like, obviously I knew that was a trap. I like that Lance trusts Dot to be able to take care of it, and Dot's reaction to putting together the pieces that he's gonna have to win his fight, and then when the other guy shows up and he gets even more concerned, that was really funny. I thought it was humorous, and I think Dot is more of a comic relief character anyway, so I think this is really funny, and this is what, this is the humor that Mashle will have frequently. But what I love about this series is its ability to shift tones and get serious as well. Dot really gets down to business. He takes off that bandana and almost, what feels like he's almost, I don't know what that cross on his forehead is, but if that counts as like an extra magic line, then he's actually got 2 lines, which is crazy, or maybe even 3 if you count both the up and the down line on that cross. But it seems like he got a little better. I love that he uses his own explosions to propel him forward and then to attack his enemy here. I love how intense he is about rescuing Mash, about fulfilling his duty as a friend. I like this about everything. When last week I believe Mashle got a color page, so we highlighted it last week as well. But I liked Lance last week. It's all about this devotion to Mash, and Dot is showing it this week. I really like these things, and so I have to highlight it. And what I also liked is seeing Mash run in that dark void, and trusting that Lance and Dot were going to be able to win their fights, we're going to be okay, and then we're going to be able to come out on top. I thought that this was a really good Mashle chapter, and so, like I said, I had to highlight it. But that will bring me to my mentions this week, guys, and I do have a lot of mentions. My Hero Academia was confusing, but I feel like we've finally gotten the end or revealed who the traitor among the students is, and it seems like it's the Invisible Girl, who I can't even remember her name. I'm very disappointed in that reveal if that's true, but I guess it's better than him forgetting it existed at all. So, kind of mixed feelings on that. Black Clover, still amazing. Still great. Can't wait to see Asta next week come wreck some crap. Undead Unluck, really good this week. I think that Spring being a ally to Fuko is great. I think that's the point of this whole thing, or of their whole gambling session, so I think it was great. Dr. Stone, Ryusui having second thoughts about being the pilot is incredible. I genuinely hope that he does become the pilot. I don't want Stanley on that ship. I want Ryusui on it. But I think that this is an incredible character development moment for Ryusui. Blue Box was really good. I love that Taiki is not thinking of not thinking of Hina in a romantic way at all with this Fire Festival thing. That's really good. Magu-chan, great. They were there in the Holy Night place to get Ruru back, and Yuneris is the villain. I knew she was going to be the villain, and I said it at least last week, so I was very glad to find out that I am right about that. P6, I love that Lucky saves Reijiro. That's all I got to say. It's a great kind of close to the Reijiro arc. And Witch Watch. The only thing I have to say about Witch Watch is I like the fact that it's pushing the idea that cramming right before a test is a bad idea. Because it is a bad idea. That's not the way to learn the material, and you're not going to retain it that way. So that's the only reason I wanted to highlight it. But those are my mentions. Thanks, guys, so much for watching this video. If you had anything to say, leave it in the comment section. I love to interact with your comments and to respond to what you guys have to say down there. And definitely like this video, subscribe to the channel. I bring you these newsletters every week. Like I said, I'm working on getting out that yearly review video for Weekly Shonen Jump, so be on the lookout for that. And if you're not already listening to the PillowFort Podcast, definitely do that. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we are up there now. I left some links in the description. We're going over One Piece. We just put out the Whiskey Peak arc. Next week, we're going to be doing the Little Garden arc, so definitely get on board with that if you're not already. But Thanks, guys, so much for listening. And this is Shonen Express signing out.